Good evening. My name is Gogo LATORTUE, and we're sitting here over at Three Tides Restaurant and Bar in beautiful Port St. Lucie, Florida. Every week, we try to have an interesting conversation with someone within the community that is impactful, someone that is very interesting, and this evening is no exception. I have the pleasure of sitting here with Dr. Bernier Lauredan, who's part of the Treasure Coast community. And he has a background I think we're going to find very fascinating once we talk. Dr. Lauredan, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Gogo.
I affectionately call you Bernie, so I'm going to refer to you as Bernie. Bernie.
Yes, Gogo.
Welcome to For Diaspora TV. And I wanted to have a conversation with you to tell me, who's Bernie? Who's Dr. Lauredan? Where did you start? Where did you come from? What is your journey and what are you up to now?
Gogo, Bernie is Bernie. I'm going to call myself Bernie. Bernie is one of the generation of the Haitian that came to the United States in the 70s. I had my father was killed by the Duvalier, and they stick me to a plane, they sent me to New York without a green card, without any papers, just with a passport. When I came to New York, I ended up going to university.
All right, let's back up a little bit. I mean, how?
I was 16.
16, and you landed where in New York? JFK?
I landed in JFK, and I was going to my aunt in Queens Village.
Okay.
And I started my journey in Queens Village. And it's nice to know that they take me for a job. And my first job, I worked in a factory, and I used to put flowers on the door.
Flowers on the dolls?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how I started my journey in the United States. And that was my first job, and I was making $1.70 an hour.
Okay. What year was this?
That was in 1969.
That was a lot of money. Okay.
Then that was a lot of money. And that was a lot of money for me to rent a basement apartment, to get a room in a basement, and end up going to college. And I went to college.
Where? In
I
New
went
York?
to Nassau Community College. I started down there.
In Long Island?
In Long Island. Then I went to City College, and I became a respiratory therapist. And
Hold on. You're going a little fast. From the guy who was working at the factory putting flowers on dolls to college to respiratory therapist, how did all that transition? When you started college, did you start with a goal of becoming a doctor or someone in the medical field?
Okay, I just want to tell you, my father raised me to be a doctor. My father, although he died a long time ago, he always buy me toy only doctors play with. My stethoscope, I had all this. While other kids were playing with ball, and I was playing with stethoscope. So I had it on me to become a doctor, and my father was preparing to send me to Paris. You know, Haitian dream is to send your son to Paris to study medicine.
Right.
And I'm sure your father was just about to say. So my father died. I didn't have any support in Haiti. My aunt sent for me, and I came to the United States. And I came without a green card. Where I had a visa to come here. And by the way, I didn't even come here. I went to Canada. And let me backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
I had my green card to go to Canada.
Okay.
However, when I get to Canada, and between my friend and I see all they're doing is to have fun. They go to work in the factory, and they come at nighttime, they play domino, and they have fun. And I said that was not the life for me. I want to come to the United States.
Wow. Okay.
And it's a very interesting way how I came to the United States. And I had my girlfriend, who was Canadian, and we went. She used to come and pick me up to go to show me town.
Right.
And one day she was going to United States for a visit to upstate New York.
Okay.
And I said to her, why don't you call for me and ask I can go to upstate New York with you? And she said, yeah, I can do that. and she called, and they ended up giving me an appointment the same evening. And I went to the embassy, they gave me a visa for 5 years. And this is how I come to the
United States. And then you were living at your aunt's house in Queens.
And Queens.
From there. Okay.
Obviously, she didn't have enough space.
Right.
At a certain point, I had to look for
Your own space.
My own space. And I end up renting one room in the basement where there's no bathroom. And if I had to go to the bathroom, I had to go to the second floor to the bathroom. So, but I was young then. I didn't have to pee a lot. So if that was now, I'd be in real trouble.
Right, right.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is my beginning in the United States.
So you started working as a respiratory therapist.
No, I started working as a factory worker.
Right, right. And then
I moved up
to
and,
college, and then
From college, I became a respiratory therapist.
Okay.
From respiratory therapist, I went to pre-med. I went to City College to pre-med. And from pre-med, I started, was a program to go to medical school in Mexico.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, I went with your brother.
Okay.
Carl and I went to the same school.
Okay. In
And
Tampico.
In Tampico.
Okay.
And we only had to go for 2 years to Mexico. We come back here to the United States to go for training. So I went for 2 years to Mexico and came back. And I came back, I finished at downstate. And finished at downstate. From downstate, I went to New Jersey. And from the University of Medicine of New Jersey, I did my residency in pediatrics. And I do my fellowship in children and adolescent medicine. And I started practicing. And the rest is history. I practiced for 35 years in New Jersey. And I get tired, okay? And finished to take call all night, all day. Then I decided to retire, and I tried to retire, actually. And I came to Florida. And when I came to Florida, I realized I could not retire. So
when you say you could not retire, meaning you're not the type of guy that can just sit home and do nothing.
I cannot do that.
Okay.
I have to be doing something.
Right.
And I have to be useful.
Got you.
And although I am very involved in community service,
Right.
by the way, I am the president of the Haitian Diaspora Federation.
Okay.
And I'm and I started to do more community service, and until I decide to go back to work. So I started to work, and I changed field. And since I had training in adult medicine, because I see children up to 26 years old,
Right.
I used to work in prison. I wanted to see what it looked like. A lot of my children went to jail. I wanted to see what it looked like in jail. What the hell going on?
What you were a pediatric doctor. A lot of your patients, unfortunately, as they grew older, they ended up getting in trouble with the law.
Yeah.
And then
they get caught and they go to jail. And I used to visit them in jail.
Okay.
So, and I wanted to go to jail to see what's going on. I mean, to work in jail to see what's going on.
Right.
So I spent a year and a half working in jail. While I'm in jail, I end up.
Let's clarify. While you're working at the jail as a medical doctor, you weren't in jail.
I work in jail, yeah. And I become the medical director of a 700 woman prison.
Okay.
And I lost all my hair from there.
Okay.
And I decided to quit and do a different training. And I went I trained myself in beauty, so I want to make people younger. And so I guess that's the next step. That's what I'm doing right now, and this is probably the next thing to talk about.
Well, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. But I need, everyone to get a sense of who you are. As far as you are a medical doctor, and, kind of you walked up through this. But tidbits that I've known you personally, but you also wrote a book.
I did.
You're an author as well.
Yeah, I'm an author.
So, which is, go ahead, can you tell us what got you to the point to say, hey, I want to write a book? You wrote a book that's been published, and I know you're working on another one now. So, throughout your journey, you came from Haiti, Canada, Queens, putting flowers on dolls, to college, to respiratory, and being a doctor. When did the writing part of it get inside in your life?
The writing part of it come to my life after I've seen so many children going to jail. After I become a specialist for the court system to actually write a report on children. When the court has a problem with the child and they want to know whether they should give it to the mother or to the father, and they send them to me, and then I do the report. So then I have seen so many things that children goes through. I decided to write a book on children. And the book is Who's Raping the Children. And I don't mean raping in a literal sense, but who's doing the wrong thing to the children. And that I mean to that the parents, the mothers who are going to court for the father and not using the money on the children but giving the money to the lawyers. Okay? I mean the court who's telling the father they can visit the child at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and children don't know time to have McDonald's. When they want to go to McDonald's, they want to go to McDonald's. And so I was a fighter in the court system, and the jury sometimes stand up and say, let Dr. Lauredan speak. And I said, Judge, this child doesn't know when to have McDonald's. This child went to McDonald's when he went to McDonald's. And we should not tell this father he can visit this child at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 10 o'clock in the morning, or he can only sit there on Saturday or Sunday, or he has to go to the police to see his child. And this, you're creating a situation for the child where the child himself is getting used to a system where he doesn't belong. And we are creating our own problem in our society, and that's what this book is about.
Wow.
Child is meant to be with two parents, and the two parents, they have equal right, and they have the right to raise their children. I used to tell my son, I remember, excuse my French, I went to take my son to college. My friend went to NYU. He said, Papi, I'm good. Why are you doing that? I said, I want you to know. I said, have it. And he knows, even he's in college in NYU by himself. I am in New Jersey.
You're still there.
I'm still there.
Now, what happens, I hear what you say, that a child should have both parents. What happens in those instances? Because I can think of many instances where a child who's growing up in a single parent home, and they grow up to be productive, successful members of society. In your passage through this, did you come up with a solution or a system that you think could better direct a child?
Okay, I do understand there are occasion or there are circumstances where a child may end up having one parent.
Right.
However, the routine in this country that I wrote the book for, and I'm glad it's also public and it's having some impact. By the way, I might as well tell you another impact my book has. When I publish my book, I take a copy to Vice President Biden, and I take a copy to President Obama, and I tell them there's one thing in this country that we're not doing right. It's because you are taxing a parent who is raising a child. You should be helping a parent who's raising a child. And the court should be helping a parent to raise a child and help both parents. I forget your question, I will come to it, but I tell them there's no reason the parent should be raising a child alone. You pay a lot of money for your children to go to college. Okay? One time I paid $80,000 for my son to go to Yale. This is crazy. My son is working right now. My son is making money. He doesn't have to give me money, but there is one thing he has to do, and he has to pay taxes. So if I'm gonna work to prepare a child for you, to benefit you, you should give me all the advantage that I need to raise the child. And that was my book, part
Gotcha.
of the government
Gotcha.
fault. How the government is raping children.
Gotcha.
And I see the change. Now every parent gets $300 to raise a child. It's not a lot of money yet,
Right.
but it is the beginning in the United States.
Wow.
So that's the impact of my book
Got you.
that I can tell you that
Gotcha.
I'm proud of.
Hey, listen, and that's kind of the reason that we're having this conversation, because I've known you personally, and I know there are a lot of different aspects of you that is interesting, and it's a very interesting conversation to be able to share. Aside from, getting involved with children and children's book, you're very involved politically.
Yes.
Very involved politically. I know past presidents of Haiti has been, close friends of yours and people that you, and I know there was a certain credit or a certain respect that they have of you. How did that come to be? Well,
Let me start at the beginning. I got involved in Haitian affair in 1990. I was a young practicing physician, and the FDA declared Haitian carrier of AIDS, and that kicked me off. Excuse my French. I'm not gonna say what happened to me, but I become crazy.
I remember that instance.
And
let me break for 1 second.
Sure.
1 second.
You're watching For Jaspo TV, Haitian American television on the move.
So we were talking regarding your political movement, and you said something interesting. What triggered it was the
FDA declared that
Haitians were
that the Haitians were a carrier of SIDA, of
AIDS.
HIV,
Right,
of
HIV.
AIDS.
Okay.
And being a doctor, and I was younger then, very,
I see. Like,
and I get involved with Wilson disease, and I was part of the scientific committee. As a matter of fact, if you remember, there is a big march.
I remember
And,
the Brooklyn Bridge.
When the big march was on, I was in Washington and a member of the scientific committee.
Right.
Myself and 4 other Haitian doctors,
Right.
senior doctors. But I was the youngest and more.
Gotcha. I remember that, and it's interesting. That single movement made me realize that we can make changes, because when the FDA put that label on, wow, everybody's thinking, well, they must have something for them to have put it on there. Where the truth was, patients had nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. But they decided, I remember it was called the 3 H's when it first.
Yes.
Patients, homosexuals, hemophilia.
Yes.
And it was just interesting, that movement that you guys were part of was so powerful that it made the big change. And again, using scientific fact to bring to light that, hey, this is not factual at all, and had them actually do a reverse. So that was a very powerful movement. It just goes to show you how certain injustices happen, but if we all sit on the sideline, guess what? That would have stayed on the books.
That was in the book. Not only that, today you will not be able to have this restaurant. Can I repeat that, what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Again, we're having a conversation.
Today you will not be able to have this restaurant. We will not be able to sit the way we're sitting.
Gotcha.
If this stigma stay with us,
of course.
Because you will not be make enough money, or to be working to make enough money, and I will not be able to continue to work as a doctor.
Gotcha.
So you understand what I mean?
Gotcha.
So this is the impact to me, which is the biggest, and that Haitian ought to appreciate.
Right. So that was the trigger that got you involved into political activism and so on. Okay.
And since then I got very involved. And another thing that happened where I was in Irvington, New Jersey, and I became to, since now people start knowing me, that I become an activist. That was the word.
Right.
And they come to report to me that Haitians who come from Haiti, okay, they put them in special education. So that was my second fight. That's when I become really a real fighter. And I went on, and we had it with the Board of Education. We take the stigma and we transfer the student to be in regular. Because they don't speak English doesn't mean they have to go to special education. And my name come up, and I become a little bit involved in Washington. And I become involved more in Haiti. I started really getting involved in Haiti on the Aristide. And I was a member of what is called La Famille C'est la Vie, because I believe what he was doing, taking the kid off the street and send them to school, give them some profession, and that would avoid what we see today in Haiti. And this is the same kids today who graduate and they become gang. And then I foresaw if I could assist them to take this kid off the street, today we will not have a gang. And exactly what happened. And this is something, again, that I'm proud of, that I did. And however, it did not work because he didn't do what he had to do with the kids. And so my involvement continued until I still have access to Washington. And as a matter of fact, I am called often, and I get advice on the affair of Haiti, and I'm also known by the government of Haiti and people in Haiti, somebody they can rely on if I speak, and somebody will listen. So this is my involvement.
Like I said, you're a very interesting person that somebody sees you. Oh, Bertie's, he loves to joke. He's easygoing, but they don't know this Bertie.
This Bertie can be bad.
Now, I know we talked about you trying to retire, but you haven't been able to do so. And I know your latest thing now, although you're still involved in activism. You're still doing many different things, but there's one thing in particular now that you are doing, especially to help men and to help women. Can we talk about that?
Yes, indeed. I'm used to youth, and I'm gonna stay young. By the way, I want to stay young.
Okay.
And I think everybody should stay young.
Okay.
And this is what I'm involved in rejuvenation. I want everybody to look and feel young, and like you were a child. Because you remember when you were 18, you remember the good old days. Unfortunately, as we get older, especially when we get after 50s, we losing a lot of things on us. And so the thing that we lose causes us to become old. And we start having mark, wrinkle in our face, our eyes start to sink, our neck start to bubble, and we start having difficulty having sexual activity, and women start getting dry, or they cannot perform, or they feel uncomfortable because they're sweating, they have difficulty. So I changed my training and I become a rejuvenator.
Okay.
That's what I do right now. So if you ask me what I do, if a man cannot perform, I help you perform. If a woman has what is called, they finish and they have no desire, I give them desire. If they dry, I will give them hormone replacement.
Okay.
So this is what I do right now on my second part of life.
That's very powerful stuff. If somebody wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
My phone is public, and I can give my phone.
Sure.
This is 908
908
265
265
6199.
6199.
And I will want somebody to text me or leave me a message. Or I don't have an office. I do this. I go to people's house and do it.
Oh wow!
I don't have an office right now. I am responsible for 2 offices, which is not here. I have one in Georgia.
Right.
I am also licensed in Georgia, and I have one in Pensacola. That's all I do. I do hormone replacement. I do men who don't have it anymore. You know, I make them go. And the women who don't have desire, I give them desire.
Let me ask you, a treatment like that, is that something that takes years, months, weeks? How does the person come to you and then say, okay, hey, I feel I'm doing much better now? What's the time frame?
There is no time frame, depending on what level I get the person. If a man, for example, don't have erection, okay, you may just be at the beginning not having erection. So if I take you from there, it's faster for me to get you back.
Gotcha.
And there are many things I can do to get you back, okay? And if a woman is the same thing, is having flash, you know, it's called red flash.
Right.
And they're sweating, okay? For me to do hormone replacement, I do your hormone replacement. It takes me a little time to do it. And if a woman, for example, if a man or a woman having wrinkle in the face, and I do something pretty interesting. I take your blood today, I spin your blood, and I take the plasma, what is called plasma in your blood, and that's what I do your face or your neck with. And I even use it if a woman wants some titty
Oh, so as far as silicone stuff like
No,
that,
I don't use
none
anything.
of that.
I don't
Okay.
use anything.
So it's all natural.
It's all
what's
natural
part of
what
it.
I do.
And now, as far as I know, there are pills like Viagra, or those are not things that you're dealing with.
Yeah, some men who need a little support, I can give them Viagra or Cialis. However, I take your broad and I do it with your penis, and I give you your erection back. Because what happens when you have problem is because you don't have enough blood circulating. So I rejuvenate the penis, I rejuvenate the vagina, I rejuvenate your breasts, I rejuvenate your face and make you grow again. So and I use your blood, I use different things to do it.
Dr. Lauredan, we can go on with the conversation, and I'm sure every minute I'm going to learn something new from you. So I truly thank you for coming to Three Tides Restaurant, having this conversation with me. Before we close, I always like to ask this. Like I said, I've known you a long time. Share something that maybe I don't know, or that another interest, just quickly before we close. What is, let's not talk about domino. I know you're an avid domino player, but what else does Bernie, Dr. Lauredan, do that?
Before I die, I would like to see Haiti change. That's my dream.
That's powerful.
Because I wanted to retire and go back to Haiti, to retire, to do investigation in plants and other things, medicinal, natural medicine. And I don't have a chance to do it. And I hope Haiti come back and give me a chance at least to start it, and I would love that to happen.
Bernie, thank you again.
Thank you, Gogo.
All right.
Thank you.